Welcome back to the wood shop, everybody. I'm Jim Viebrock, and today we're going to build a pair of sliding closet doors. This will be the fourth video in a series of flat panel doors for our project house. So let's get started. Okay, the first thing we want to do is make sure that the lumber that we selected is nice and straight. To do that, when you're at the lumber yard, you just pick it up and you look down the axis there, and you'll be able to see if there's a bow in it or a curve. In the same way, you want to make sure that all of your planes are nice and straight. Now, these 2x6s have a sanded edge on them, meaning the edge is slightly rounded. I'm going to take that edge off because I want them nice and square, because we're going to rip them down the middle here in just a minute, and I just want all of my edges to look the same. So your basic table saw settings are always the same. The teeth on your saw blade are what they call curved, meaning there's one tooth pointing one way and another tooth pointing the other way, and they're alternating. When you measure for your fence, you always want to measure with the tooth that is facing the fence. So that's a good tip for you if you're a new woodworker. So in this case, these are 5.5 inches wide, and I just want to take enough of it off to take that edge off. So I'm coming just under 5.5 inches here, not quite 5 3/8, but somewhere in between there that you're comfortable with. And you're going to set your height of your blade as well, and you just want your teeth to stick up out of the workpiece that you're going to do. Now I'm going to run these through there, straighten that edge up, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, now that I have one edge nice and square, I'm going to flip the board over and do the same thing on this side, because I want to have it square as well. So now I've set my table saw down to actually the 5 3/8 mark. So we've just taken a little bit off each side just to square them up. I'm going to run them through a second time, and we'll have square edges on both sides. Okay, now that we have square edges on both sides, directly down the center is an awkward measurement, so I'm going to back that off to 2 5/8. So that gives me a little bit of flexibility, and so I'm just going to rip down through here and do them all at 2 5/8. Okay, let's talk about the anatomy of our door for just a minute. The upright pieces are called stiles. The horizontal pieces are called rails. Here in a minute, we're going to do a tongue and groove type of mortise and tenon on these to put a panel in there. But in the meantime, you've got some decisions to make design-wise. Most doors, if you look at them, you will see that the bottom rail is taller than the rails that are in the body of the door. In this case, I'm going to have the same size bottom rail as I do all of the rest of the rails, because I'm matching the style of door elsewhere in the house. So you do it how you want to. Flexibility is okay. The construction principles are going to be the same. So the next thing I'm going to do is cut my stiles off to length over at the compound miter saw. Okay, when cutting off of your boards, don't just assume that the ends of your boards are square. Go ahead and tail them off and make sure they're square. Most of the time they are, but just don't rely on it. Our door is an unusual size. This door is going to be 79.5 inches tall. The standard door is 82 inches tall. We're dealing with the doors in the basement, so there's going to be some unusual dimensions here. As you build your door, make sure you're building it properly for the dimensions of your space that you're trying to fill. So I've squared my ends, and I've pulled my tape, made my mark at 79.5 inches, and I'm just going to simply cut this off. Now we're making 2 doors, so I need 4 stiles. Okay, what we're getting ready to do is a modified tongue and groove joint called a mortise and tenon. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that I love mortise and tenon joints. They're my favorite joint to put together. Basically, now you can do this on your table saw, by the way. All you want to do is cut a groove down through here that's about 1/4 inch, a strong 1/4 inch deep, and a 1/4 inch wide. So just set your table saw up and run it through there. No problem. Okay, I'm going to use my router table because I keep it set up for this type of work. So again, it's a 1/4 inch deep, 1/4 inch router bit, and if I've got my measurements right and it's set up just right, then this will go right down between those 2 lines, and cut a nice groove. So I'm going to cut this test piece. This is just a scrap piece of 2x4. Always test on something scrap before you use your good materials. Okay, so this looks like it's going to be just about right, and it's right on the money. So we're ready to cut our full length pieces. Okay, so I started to lay out one of my doors. These are the two upright stiles that we had. We cut the mortise down through there, or the groove if you want to. So these are the scrap pieces from when I cut these off. So I have 4 of them, so I've got enough to do the tops and bottoms of both doors. But what I need to do is figure out how long these are going to be. So I need 18 inches as a maximum width. So what I've done is I laid them out here at 18 inches. Now, I can take my tape and simply measure the 2 inside points from our grooves or our mortises, and that number is 13.5 inches. So I have enough here for 13.5 inches. So I'm going to cut these off, and then we're going to go over to my radial arm saw and cut the tenons on that. So I'm going to cut these off at the 13.5, and I'll meet you over at the radial arm saw. Okay, this is my radial arm saw. This is the predecessor to the chop saws that we use throughout the project. If you don't have one of these, don't worry about it. If you get the chance to buy one, please do, because they're great tools. But if you don't have one, you can do everything I'm getting ready to do on your table saw, or you can do it on your router. All this tool really is an upside down table saw, and it allows this head to come across on a horizontal plane. So I can raise this up and cut just halfway through a board if I want to, unlike the chop saw or the compound miter saw that's going to cut all the way through the project piece. So this is a great tool for these, and you can pick them up cheaply at garage sales and auctions and things like that. So I'm going to use it, but keep in mind, just copy what I'm doing here over on your table saw or your router, and you can do the exact same thing. But what we're going to create today is the male version of this joint, this mortise and tendon, or this tongue and groove. This would be the tongue in a tongue and groove scenario, but technically it's called a tenon. And what it does is it's going to fit, this would be the mortise that we just cut in the other. Now these are scrap pieces, and you always use your scrap pieces first because you want to test to see how they're going to work. Look how tight that joint is. This is a very strong, this is a very good joint. You want to learn how to do these. If you're using pocket screws to put your projects together, you need to improve your craftsmanship level and learn how to do this. I'm not saying that pocket screws are bad. I'm just simply saying it's the difference between a piece that'll last 5 to 10 years and a piece that'll last 100 years or more. Okay? So just improve your craftsmanship, learn how to do a mortise and tendon joint. Now, I'm going to cut these for you. The neat thing about this is when we're done, this is the 1/4 inch sheet of plywood that we're going to put in there, and it'll go right in that groove beautifully, and it'll allow for the expansion and contraction when we glue it up in a minute. So this is a great way to assemble your doors. So I'm going to set these aside, and I'm going to grab, this is one of the rails that I just cut over on the compound miter saw, and I'm going to cut this tenon in it for you. So all we're going to do is fire it up. I'm going to pull that head across and create that joint. So it takes multiple passes, and you're going to see this here in just a minute. Okay, now that we have the tenons on the rails, and we only cut the tenons on the rails, not on the stiles, we need to put our mortises in the rails to receive the plywood. So your top and bottom rail gets the mortise on one side. Your middle rails, depending on how many you have, will get them top and bottom. Our door has 2 center rails and 1 top, 1 bottom. So 2 of these I'm going to put on both sides, and 1 of them I'm just going to do on the one side. Okay, I think this is a very important part of the assembly process. I've got all my pieces cut now, except for my panels, which we're going to cut in just a moment. And I've laid them out and I've put them in glue clamps and I've cinched them together. This is where you find out if you've got problems, maybe unfolding. Sometimes as you make your mortise here, it doesn't travel through the router just right, or doesn't travel through the table saw just right, and it'll have kind of a wavy finish in there. And sometimes you have to trim your tenons just a little bit, and that's okay because we have lots of surface space here for the glue to bond to. So it's okay if you need to trim one of those. You want them as tight as you can, but it's okay. I did my math, got my 2 center rails in place. Believe it or not, this was symmetrical. But there is something I want to point out about this that showed up in the course of the day here. This particular style has some knots in it, and once we've cut this down and released it from its original form and put the mortise in there, it's starting to kind of want to twist and warp. There's a way we're going to fix that when we get to the gluing stage, so pay attention for that tip when we get to it, because it's not uncommon for 2x4s and stuff to want to twist and warp. So we're going to watch very carefully as we move forward, and I'll show you how to fix that when we go to the glue up stage. So for now, I've got to cut my panels. We're going to use birch. The panels will be 13.5 inches wide, and I'm just going to cut them probably on my table saw. Okay, I've got my table saw set to the 13.5 inches I need to cut the panels. We're going to rip this panel down and then we'll cut them to length after the that. Okay, I have my final test run happening here. I've got my panels in, I've got it clamped down, and I'm checking to see if I can clamp it tight without it bowing up. If I put enough pressure on here that it's bowing up, then I need to make some adjustments so that it lays flat. It has to lay flat. And here in a minute, when we glue this up, we're going to put some cross pieces across here to hold the pressure down against my very flat table. That will allow it to set up flat, and that's what we want it to do. Otherwise, it'll try to warp. Now, before we get too far into this, I need to take it back apart because sanding along this edge will be really hard after the thing is assembled. So if I take it apart now, I can sand along that edge and get 95% of it now while it's nice and easy. Also, when I glue this up, I'm not going to put any glue in the mortises or the groove because I want these panels to float. I want them to be able to expand and contract with the atmospheric changes. So when we glue this up, we're going to glue the tenons and the surface face on all of these 8 points, but we're not going to glue down inside the trough. This will be plenty rigid without doing that, so just don't do that. So I'm going to take it apart now. I'm going to do my sanding over there, and then we'll start to glue this up. Okay, I've got everything done. I sanded the insides of those. That'll save me a lot of work. I'm ready to start gluing this up. And then remember, we're only going to put glue on the tenons, and we're going to put just a generous amount on here, just enough that it'll squeeze out just a little bit, but not too much, on all of those surfaces. And we're going to go down through here and do this to every one of the pieces. Okay, I've got it all glued up, and I've put these neat stiff backs on here. These are just 2x4s that are on end, and I've got them clamped to my hard surface table. Now, I know my table is flat because I've used it many, many times. So as I put pressure down on it, that warp I talked about earlier will now correct. So when this glue sets up, it'll hold in place, and tomorrow when we take this out of the glue clamps, it should be nice and straight. Now, if you have an old house and an old wooden door, and that door is warped, you can do the same thing to that door. But you need to take it off, you need to strip it completely of all its paint, and then you need to fix it, glue it, re-glue it, whatever you need to do, and then put it back into a clamp like this on a flat surface and hold it down. Now, if it's still being stubborn, you can mist the wood with some pure water and until those fibers start to relax. So it may take several days if you're trying to straighten an old door, but you can do it this same exact way. One thing I didn't show you is you need to make sure that it's square after you've done glued it up. And so we're going to let this one sit until tomorrow. I've got another table I'm going to do the other one on, and then when we pick this project back up, we will sand these off and prepare them for painting. So that's it for today. We'll see you in the morning. Okay, welcome back. Good morning, I guess. As you can tell, I've taken the doors out of the clamps. They are laying nice and flat like they're supposed to, so that straightening technique that I used yesterday has worked. If you've got an old door, you feel free to try that because it will work. And like I said yesterday, if the bow is persistent, then you can mist it down over a course of several days and those fibers will relax. So you may have to take it in and out of the clamp a time or two, but in this case it worked perfectly like it's supposed to. Got pretty much all of the sanding done that we're going to do to this, so it's pretty much prepped for the beginning of the primering. I just want to point out that we use pine for the frames on this, and pine is notorious for not bleed. So if you've used pine on a project and you're going to paint it, my suggestion is that you use a colored primer. We use a medium gray colored primer. There's something about the pigment in the color that will cover the knots and prevent them from bleeding through. If you use a white primer, the knots are going to bleed through. It's just some experience that I've learned over the years. So that's a good tip. Just take it to the bank because that's going to happen. I appreciate you watching these videos. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. A link to my Facebook page is in the comments section. A link to my wife's Facebook page is in the comments section. And we'd appreciate if you spend some time over there as well. There's lots of archived photos of the projects I've built over the 40 years or so that I have done woodworking. If you have any comments, I'd love to hear them. Any suggestions on future videos, I'd love to hear them too. But other than that, we're going to paint these doors, take them to the job site and hang them, and that's our project for this week.